second. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's Village Board meeting. Today is July 10th, and we'll call the meeting in order at 7:32. Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Trustee McGreal?
Here.
Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Pierce?
Here.
Trustee Zielinski?
Here.
Trustee Juarez?
Here.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great crowd tonight. Thank you for coming out, folks. Starting with our reports, I'll start with myself. Before we get to the appointments, one appointment I really want to acknowledge this evening. All police and fire commissioners are actually appointed to a 3-year term. And Kevin O'Connell has served as our police and fire commissioner since 2014. Kevin was up for renewal, and it would be my appointment at this time to reappoint Kevin O'Connell as a police and fire commissioner with a term to expire April 30th, 2020. Kevin? You here this evening? You stand up, please. You know, I just want to point out real quick, folks, Police and Fire Commission, really an essential job in a village. I mean, these folks are qualifying your public safety members, both on hiring, firing, and disciplinary actions and whatnot. Compensation-wise, not great compensation, but your time is very valuable. And Kevin, thank you for staying with us and assuming that role. Thank you very much. Next.
You want to take a vote on that?
Pardon?
You want to vote on that? Ask for the approval of the trustees.
Certainly we could. The attorney just reminded me, although we don't have it on the consent agenda, I would like to get approval from the trustees as well. Could we call a roll call, please?
Sure. Roll call number 1 to approve the appointment of Kevin O'Connell as Police and Fire Commissioner with a term to expire April 30th, 2020. Trustee McGreal?
We can vote on that when it's not on the consent agenda?
No, you can vote on it.
I think by ordinance, though, it's not with the advice and consent of the trustees. I think that it's just your appointment.
Exactly, yes.
So we don't have to vote on it?
We don't have to vote on it.
It's your appointment. We don't have to vote on it.
Okay, most of the appointments are. That's okay.
You wish to, well, that's fine. If you wish to pass, that's fine. Okay. This is my appointment, as we just mentioned. While I was going for the advice and consent, it's not necessary when this is just the mayor's appointment. Next appointment I have is the appointment of Sergeant Kevin Mikos. I had the pleasure of meeting with Sergeant Kevin Mikos in 2011 when I first became a village trustee, and certainly whenever I work with the sergeant, it's always been a professional experience for me as well. Kevin Mikos came to the Alsip Police Department in January 1997 by way of the United States Navy, where he served on the USS Saratoga. Kevin worked in the Alsip Police Patrol Division from 1997 until 2008, where he went above his job responsibilities to field train new officers as well as run the department's firing range. In 2008, Patrolman Kevin Mikos was promoted to Patrol Sergeant and has remained faithfully in that capacity until today. During his tenure at the Alsip Police Department, Kevin also served as a volunteer fireman with the Garden Homes Fire Protection District, and he received his EMT certification and was a member of the 5th District SWAT team. His distinctions include 2 awards of merit, an Award of Valor and a Life-Saving Award, as well as his recognition from the Secretary of Defense for his support of the National Guard and Reserve. Kevin Mikos is a dedicated member of the Alsip Police Department, a devoted man to his family, his team, and certainly the village of Alsip. At this time, I'm proud to have the opportunity of appointing Sergeant Kevin Mikos to the rank of Police Lieutenant of the Alsip Police Department. Congratulations, Kevin. folks, the village clerk will swear Kevin in to his new position. 1 second, please.
Please repeat after me. I, Kevin Mikus,
I, Kevin Mikus,
having been appointed lieutenant of the Village of Alsip
having been appointed the lieutenant of the Village of Alsip
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
State of Illinois,
State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of lieutenant
the duties of the office of lieutenant
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doesn't count unless you draw blood.
Come on. Thank you.
First thing I told Kevin, I need to pronounce his name better and so forth. Sorry. Yeah. Next on my agenda is the swearing in of a new firefighter paramedic recruit, Michael Belleville, and we'll do this with the Police and Fire Commission. Would you like to swear him, or would you? Sure.
We've been swearing in quite a few people, and I especially want to congratulate you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
I want to thank Michael's family for coming tonight and the friends who are here to recognize him. If you'd like to take pictures, come on up here. Then we'll give you an opportunity to take pictures afterwards outside. Thanks to all the firefighters and police officers for supporting your fellow firemen and lieutenant. I, Michael Bellevue,
I, Michael Bellevue,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the municipal ordinances
any municipal ordinances
of the Village of Alsip,
of the Village of Alsip,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of firefighter
of the office of firefighter
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to introduce the rest of our commission.
Thank you.
Greg Kopp is one of the commissioners. Greg has been here longer than I have on the commission. Kevin's been our secretary, and the mayor already recognized his longevity, and I serve as the chairman. And we have the privilege of working with two great groups, fire department and the police department. And I want to thank all of you guys for being loyal to the village.
Really? I didn't know. I went to, thank you very much. It reminded me, he's been a commissioner since 2010. I had 2014, so thank you, Kev. Moving along. You know what, folks? Can we take maybe just a 5-minute recess, 10-minute recess for any photos anybody like to get with our new appointments? And we'll resume in about 10 minutes. Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. It's 7:55 p.m.
Who's their department head? Who approved it?
Finishing my report, where I'd like to just, two things I would like to remind the village, the board, and as the residents that watch our videotapes here as well. Myself, the Police Chief Miller, and our village attorney, and we're sharing this information with our ordinance legislation, a couple of our members of the committee now. I want everyone to be vigilant about something that came up recently as far as parking restrictions. Please, when you pull into a parking lot, if there's any signage up there, please really look out for your well-being on these things. There's a lot of new, I'm going to call them tricks, but these are ways to protect businesses and so forth, where instead of just towing cars, now they're booting cars. And the chief and I have been dealing with many phone calls for the past week where there's different strip malls now where instead of towing vehicles, now they're booting vehicles. And you can go in to get a cup of coffee or whatever and come out and 5-10 minutes later, there's a boot on your car. It's going to cost you $190 to get that boot off your car. And they're demanding cash and whatnot. And we're working on regulations right now to combat that. So as soon as we have something in place, we'll certainly share that information with you at the same time. And I've shared that exact same sentiment with many residents calling me to tell me about this then too. As a matter of fact, I visited a business today who's actually protected by that booting ordinance, and they didn't care for it much either because the property owner engaged with this particular towing company, and he actually noticed one of his regular customers who pulled in on Saturday with a truck and a trailer, and it cost that gentleman almost $500 to start his day. So, I really, certainly nobody cares for that. They found a loophole in our laws to allow something like that to happen. And I certainly am not going to use any names or anything like that, but what I am going to do is we're working very hard to try and combat this then, Chief, right?
That's correct. Ordinance has been proposed for legislation in the coming weeks.
So it'll be forthcoming, and we're going to deal with this as quickly as we can then, too. Because certainly we don't condone that kind of activity, and when I met the police out there, we've got 18, 19-year guys. They've never seen anything like that happen before. And so I really appreciate everybody telling your neighbors about this kind of activity and whatnot, and certainly, and if you're not patronizing businesses in certain parking lots, don't go in there, because they've already told us that they're not telling us where, but they've got about 2 or 3 more contracts within our village. And, the signs haven't gone up yet, but that doesn't mean they won't again in a split second. This jumped on us really quick, and we're going to do what we can to help our residents and protect our residents. Last thing I had, too, is I plan to approve. I wanted to share this with the board. Had an opportunity this afternoon, had to speak with our Public Works Director, Mr. Frater, and we've been presented with an opportunity to piggyback on a road resurfacing program that's taking place over in Garden Homes. Worth Township is actually repaving Lawndale Street from 115th to 118th, and the paving company said they would do the following block, which is our jurisdiction, from 118th to 119th, and resurface that street for, Mike, do we say $11,000 to do that? Right. I mean, yeah, it's almost like a no-brainer to get a whole block done with the, they don't have curbs on that either, Mike, right? We're just going to have to take care of the,
Just the mill and resurface.
Exactly, so just mill and resurface, but for $11,000, I plan to approve that and get that done and so forth then too. I did check with the attorney. We don't need a vote on that. That is a
MFT General Maintenance Fund, that's for miscellaneous paving, which is what it's intended.
MFT miscellaneous fund, yes. So I plan to approve that because you said, Mike, they're going to start scraping when, about a week?
They're looking to start possibly Friday or Monday.
Possibly late this week. Okay. Very good. I'm glad they reached out to us too. That's wonderful. So moving along, a couple of quick things. Talked about should anyone have any interest in this came on my desk last week. There is the Cook County Zoning Board of Appeals on Wednesday, July 19th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at 69 West Washington, 17th floor. There's a resident, Candace Clemson. She's at 12701 South McVickers. This is actually a Palos Heights address, but they're asking for a fence variance. And I know our community is, obviously we're directly across the street from this property, but they want to go from a 3-foot fence to a 6-foot fence. Should anyone have any objections, and that's a town over near Chippewa subdivision, you're welcome to attend that meeting to show your interest in that. Last thing I had here was we're known as a tree city, thanks to Mr. Frater getting us registered as a Tree City USA. Just a quick note, folks, periodic national surveys by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service underscore the importance of watchable wildlife in our communities. This research also points out the tremendous economic impact associated with non-consumative use of this resource. In a single year, more than 71 million people 16 years of age and older spend more than $46 billion on equipment and travel for wildlife watching. Approximately $471 million of those dollars is spent on identification guides and other books or magazines. $656 million goes for binoculars and spotting scopes, and a whopping $3.3 billion buys bird food, believe it or not. So my point is the importance of wildlife can also be seen in higher property values for homeowners who landscape to attract birds. And with a little planning, the benefits we usually expect from trees can easily be multiplied into the benefit of wildlife. For example, when planting for ornamental purposes, by knowing what trees attract birds, you might substitute a bird-rich flowering dogwood in place of an eastern redbud that is only limited value for birds. Or when planning to plant a hybrid, poplars for quick sale, remember that they are almost devoid of bird life. Consider interplanting with trees like mountain ash or crabapples that are favored by approximately a dozen different bird species. And wild black cherry not only grows quickly, but is a bird magnet and attracts nearly 50 different species. A lot of folks out there that like this type of a look on their home, and certainly I just thought it was a good point of interest to bring in here then too. This stuff comes across my desk, and it's my job to share with the community, and that's what we're doing here. That's all I have for my report.
Did you want to discuss the boat launch?
Sorry, you're right. I actually drew over that. I did have on everyone's agenda discussion to propose dissolving the boat launch committee into Public Works Committee. The reason I put that on there, I had a chance about a week and a half ago. We had our first department head meeting, and as we were going down the list of committees, we did want to just have the board consider the idea that while the boat launch is very important to us, Public Works actually oversees the boat launch. And I actually was the trustee overseeing that for the last couple of years. And while we will always acknowledge it at every meeting, I don't know that it's actually necessary to actually break it out as a separate committee. In other words, if we consolidate this, Public Works, who oversees this, can still report on any activity at the boat launch then too. So it's for discussion, and I don't believe we had this on the consent agenda, do we?
I don't believe so.
No.
Can we discuss it at the committee meeting next week?
Absolutely. That's fine. Sure.
Thank you.
Clerk, your report?
I have the request for approval of the minutes of the June 5th, 2017 Village Board meeting, and also the request for the approval of the minutes of the June 12th, 2017 committee meeting. That's all I have, Mayor.
Attorney report, we have Joe Kenkar with us this evening.
I have no report, Your Honor.
Thanks, Joe. Engineers report.
Nothing other than Ulster should be starting the emergency storm sewer repair this week or next week.
Behind Prairie Junior High? Okay. Public forum, would anyone like to address this board? Nobody this evening? Thank you. Finance Committee, Trustee McGlohan.
Okay, first I have a request for approval of a list of payroll dated June 23rd, 2017, totaling $433,202.54. Next, I have a request for approval of a list of payroll dated July 7th, 2017, totaling $410,803.77. And I have a request for approval of accounts payable dated July 10th, totaling $480,234.67. In regards to the accounts payable, in summary, we're looking at corporate fund of $297,354.07. Road and Bridge Fund, $26,811.88. MFT, $37,195.67. Pulaski Corridor TIF, $1,416.30. And Waterworks, $117,456.75. That's all I have.
That's it, thanks. Fire Committee, Trustee McLaughlin.
Right. First, I have a request for an ordinance revision that we discussed at committee last week in terms of, this is amending Chapter 9, Article 1, Sections 9-3 and 9-6. This is in terms of adjusting our rates.
There's one thing that I had read in there, and that's in Section 9.3. It's in subsection E. And the verbiage that was to be added in there is an excessive 6 in any 365-day period. Do we really want to go into a rolling year rather than a calendar year? It just seems that every time we look at this thing, we have to do the math to find out when those 6 alarms occurred going backwards instead of...
With our software that we have, with our accountability software, we can just pull it up right away where the first alarm was. So we can monitor that. That's very easy to pull the records up on. It's not any long term.
Okay. With your software, what about the property owner? They have to sit there and do the math too, right?
The property, yeah, it's up to them to dispute us where we're at. We can prove what days we're on the call. We provide them with that.
Yeah,
We provide them the record of what days we were there and what time.
I guess I look at it as a matter of confusion, that's all. So if you've got the property owner, they're the ones who are going to be saddled with the violation notices, and if they're confused about it, then is there a better way? That's all I'm saying. So if you think that it's best, and if
It's easier on a rolling year, because again, if we start in November, we have 5 of them in November, here comes January 1st, and we have none on January 2nd, then we're starting all over again.
But the same would be true if you had 5 in January of the previous year and it rolled over to February 1st.
Right, that's why I always go back when the first alarm actually occurred.
Okay.
This is just the alarm portion.
Right.
The false alarms.
Yeah, that's, we have a meeting on Friday, and we'll have that meeting. That's why I was wondering.
Okay. Also, on behalf of the fire department, we'd like to express a thank you to GC America for use of the Lombard buildings for training. The buildings are providing realistic training for the fire department, neighboring fire departments, the police department, 5th District SWAT team, and the Cook County Bomb Squad.
Go ahead, Chief.
We're going to get a lot of use out of this building from now until they take it down sometime August, whenever we're looking at. We're in the building almost every day. We've opened up to neighboring fire departments to use the building. We've opened up to our police departments. 5th District SWAT team was out there earlier this week. I think they have a couple other days. We cannot pass up an opportunity to have a live building to do everything we want to do. And then sometime after January 9th or July 19th, we're actually going to start live fire training in there also.
Right. July 18th, I was invited to the groundbreaking ceremony, and actually GC America has got almost 225 employees here in Alsip. They're going to combine 2 campuses into one. So when they tear down that building, they're going to put up a beautiful new structure over there, all curtain wall and whatnot. And they've got sites all over the world. But we're blessed to have them in our community. And this is almost a 3 to 4 hours ground blessing ceremony. They bring in a guy from Seattle, and it's the only guy that does this kind of thing yet too for their company. They're Japanese owned, and there's like a whole. I got a tire and everything else, you know, that kind of thing. I really are looking forward to this. This is great, and I really am looking forward to this for really boost our business district and along 127th Street as well. Then too, this is really something that we need over there. So again, the businesses nearby, whether they're food vendors and whatnot, they should be able to. Hopefully, they can take advantage of this a little bit then too at the same time.
What we're also going to do is when we start doing the live fire training, we'll actually open it up to the trustees again. Be out there if they want to watch this. We can throw some gear on and go on a little bit also just to see what we look at when we go inside.
Nice, Chief.
We'll offer that up again.
Send everybody a note if you would, please. Let them know what dates you're going to do that, just so everybody's got a little heads up. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Only the trustees?
Oh.
So you're more than welcome.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Not a problem.
Thanks, Trustee.
Okay.
Moving along.
No, I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
I have the monthly activity report for the period of June 1 through June 30 of 2017. In summary, we had 6 structure fires, 3 vehicle fires, and 3 other fires for a grand total of 12 fires during the month of June. We also had 199 rescue calls requiring emergency medical treatment. We had 11 hazardous condition calls, 38 service calls, 20 good intent calls, 1 special incident call, and 34 false alarms for a grand total of 316 calls. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Police Committee, Trustee McGrail.
I just have an update on the ordinance for establishing the salary of the chief of police. We went into closed session last week as a whole board to discuss and get more information on the ordinance. It's at $112,000, where that came from. We did get some more information, and it's the recommendation of the board, the committee to the board to increase that to $116,000. So we'd like to amend the ordinance under ordinance and legislation, if everyone's in agreement. That's all that I have. That would be item U on the consent agenda also. Item U. Thank you.
Trustees, we haven't had an opportunity to have a committee, although we had a committee meeting last week, we haven't had a chance to actually talk about salaries yet. We haven't gotten that far in our budget talks, so I would like to speak to everyone to that matter when we get to our budget talks this week. And I'd like to propose possibly some steps in there as well then too. So when we get to that point, we'll have that conversation then too. Okay?
That'd be great.
Okay.
We need to do that.
So you're proposing steps, but we're establishing the salary
Exactly.
tonight. Okay.
Yeah, we'll go past that, that's all. And it was part of the discussion that we had last week. Okay.
And under finance and budget too, I think we need to discuss with HR and finance, ranges of salaries and midpoints. I mean, because we have nothing to guide us.
That's fine. Yeah, we can do that through our budget talk, sure.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Next, Public Works, Trustee Juarez.
I have a request for approval of a refund to Steve Carco of $27 for 1 vehicle sticker purchased at full price, but as a senior citizen should have been charged $5 for a sticker. And I have a request for approval of a refund of Glenn Pappas of $32 for a vehicle sticker purchase for a vehicle he no longer owns. And I have a list of bills that were submitted. That's it.
Thanks. Building Committee, Trustee Zelinski.
Yes, Mayor, we have a list of bills, timesheets, a request for approval for a block party for the residents of 122nd and Harding on Saturday, September 9th from 12 noon to 12 midnight. Approval has been received by the fire and police. Also, a request for approval for another block party for the residents of the 3600 block of Bank Drive on Saturday, August 5th from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. with a DJ until 10 p.m. only. Approval has also been received by fire and police. Next, we have a request for an approval for a block party for the residents of the 1800 South Carolyn Lane on Saturday, August 26th from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. with a DJ and band until 10 p.m. only. Approval has been received by Fire and Police. A request for approval for a block party for the residents of the 1500 block of South Colmar on Saturday, July 29th from 12 noon to 10 p.m. Approval has been received by Fire and Police. And a request for approval for temporary flags from VJM Mobile at 4000 West 127th Street from July 1st to September 1st, 2017. That's all I have.
Thank you. Water and Sewer, Trustee Dalzell.
The presentation of the monthly activity report for June is 2017, the employee time records, and a list of bills. That's all I have.
License Committee, Trustee Juarez.
Or request for approval of a list of license dated July 10th, 2017. That's all I have.
Okay. Economic Development, Trustee Pierce.
Request for approval of an ordinance, Village of Alsip approving an agreement between Alsip and Howard Shanowski and Rita Shanowski for the redevelopment of property located at 11525 to 27 South Pulaski Road, Village of Alsip, Cook County, State of Illinois, in furtherance of the objectives of the redevelopment plan and project approved for the Pulaski Road Corridor TIF redevelopment project area. Number 2, to authorize the mayor to accept the proposal from Oliveri Architects to prepare architectural concept plans in accordance with the proposal dated July 5th, 2017, in the amount of $5,980 for properties located at 115-1527 to 27 and 116-18 to 39 South Pulaski Road, in furtherance of the objectives of the redevelopment plan for the Pulaski Road Corridor TIF redevelopment area. The request for approval to consider an application for rehabilitation of the dentist office and Studio K Salon at 11638 Suites A and B for a TIF small business project for roof reconstruction, remodeling, and parking lot repaving. The applicants are completing the application materials this week. Presentation of the Economic Development Monthly Activities Report for June, and we also now have a presentation by Alsip Industrial Association.
Short presentation.
Well,
tap dance.
we tabled this one a couple weeks ago, remember? Or not tabled it, but we just asked because we were out of time.
We had a very long meeting that night.
We don't have long meetings.
So,
Okay.
Denise, you were asking about the scholarship?
No, I said that maybe that's what, because I don't know about the presentation from the Alsip Industrial Association. There was no presentation that we had scheduled tonight.
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from as well. A lot of time, do you? No. Okay. I know that we, obviously with this agenda, it got a little bit busy, so thank you, Denise. Obviously, we're not going to take any action on that because there's nobody here to make that, but I'll certainly, the clerk as well, we can double check and see where that came from as well then too, okay? Thank you. Also, just as a matter of a typo that's in here too, on the letter R, what we were just talking about here for Studio K Salon and the dentist office, it's 11638 South Pulaski, correct? Because we don't have a street name now, we just have 11638.
Okay, A and B.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Trustee Pierce, that's it?
That's it.
Okay, thanks. Planning and Zoning, Trustee Zelinski?
Presentation of the minutes of the June 14th, 2017 Planning and Zoning meeting. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on Wednesday, June 14th, and passed the following hearings. Letter A is case number 2017-6-R-100 for subdivision at 11819 South Lamont, passed 5-0. Letter B, we have case number 2017-5-S-200 for rezoning from I-3 to I-3 special use for property at 3350 West 131st Street for storage of heavy equipment and trailers. That also passed 5-0. And letter C, case number 2017-5-S-100 for rezoning from I-2 to I-2 special use for property at 11633 South Mayfield for transportation logistics. That also passed at 5-0. And last, we have a request for the approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip authorizing property owner at 11819 South Lamont Avenue to construct a vinyl fence up to 12 inches over the north property line of said lot, otherwise on the property commonly known as 11811 South Lamont Avenue. That is all.
Thanks, Trustee. I was just, for clarification too, I was just speaking with the attorney here. I just got word on this that I'm going to go out and, with the building commissioner tomorrow, building inspector, Mr. Early tomorrow, and take a look at this property on 131st Street. And I was told that possibly they're parking trucks out there already. And there's a lot of, it's one thing to approve a zoning change over there, but it's another to start a business without a license. We haven't given a business license to that property yet either. So we're going to go out and take a look at that tomorrow, Roger.
Mayor, just to give you a heads up, I did go out there and look at it. They are storing the trailers on it.
They're already on there, yeah. So that's going to be a hard conversation. And I don't mind supporting you on it, but we need to go out and have a talk with them. They have not been given a business license for that. That's only been zoned as such. And that just came across my desk today, so thanks for getting out there and stuff then, too. We'll talk to them tomorrow. That's it, Trustee Zielinski?
Yes.
Thanks. Special committee reports, Village Properties, Trustee McGlawhorn.
Okay, I have correspondence from Roger Early in regards to the vacancies at the heritage complexes. In summary, at Heritage 1 right now there are currently 2 vacancies, and at Heritage 2 there are 7 vacancies. Roger would also like to express that he is pleased with all of the hard work from his crew to continually keep this rate as low as possible. We have great teamwork with Zeiler Management to ensure units rented as soon as possible, and we are hopeful that this continues so we can achieve occupancy levels of 100%. That's all I have.
Thanks. Insurance Committee, Trustee McGrill.
No report.
Ordinance legislation, Trustee Pierce.
I have a request for approval of ordinance amending Section 2-59, selection and removal of appointed officers, Division 2, under the Mayor section of Chapter 2, Administration of the Municipal Code for the Village of Alsip, Illinois, and a request for approval of ordinance establishing the salary for the Chief of Police of the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois, in the amount of $116,000 retroactive to June 19th, 2017.
Trustee Pierce, I just had a couple questions on that ordinance, since it's different from the one that was on the agenda last time. On the page 2, it had said that it should be established by law, but these are usually established by ordinance or resolution, because law is something, it says appointed officers shall hold their office for each term as may be established by law, or until their successor has been chosen and has qualified. But it would be probably something criminal if you're going by law. It's usually by ordinance or resolution.
Well,
that was one thing, and then the other, I'm sorry, was temporary in here, appointments, and there was a piece missing from the ordinance that was in place originally. It was Section B in the 2012 ordinance.
So I took the ordinance after last Monday night's meeting, and I had discussions with attorney on what would pass, legally. The council's advice was that the ordinance as written in 2012 and again in 2013, I believe, would not. He doesn't understand why they passed legal. They weren't, they could have been challenged. So it's his advice that, this is written, legally and would pass any challenge.
What's interesting to me, though, is your firm was our legislative
Yeah, but we didn't do that ordinance.
But they oversaw our agendas and any questions that we had, and it
But
was...
if it didn't get submitted to us, we wouldn't have reviewed it.
Well, you were our counsel at the time, and
Well-
I don't understand why the changes were made. Please explain those to me.
Okay, the subsection B of the ordinance that was in effect, I think in 2011, that was drafted, that the
2012.
trustees can remove any appointed officer by a majority vote. I believe that's more or less what it is. That changes the form of government. It changes the dynamic between the mayor and trustees. It would be unconstitutional. There's a case, Dunn versus Cook County Board, in which the Board of Commissioners attempted to change the veto, the vote necessary to override the president's veto, and the court held that invalid as changing the dynamic between the trustees and the mayor. So it would be my suggestion, again, I didn't tell Trustee Pierce to do one ordinance to the other. I said it was up to him to propose whichever ordinance he wanted to do. I did say, however, that subsection B would not be upheld in court. As far as the appointments provided by law, some appointments are joint appointments by statute. Some appointments are mayor with the consent of Board of Trustees. So that's why I put by law. Ordinance, by law means by ordinance, by statute, whatever it may be.
Can we change it to by ordinance?
You can, but again, there might be statutes that are actually more favorable to the trustees.
Or statute and ordinance? Okay. I don't know, just law just doesn't sound right. It hasn't been in there before. And on that point, this ordinance was drafted by Odelson's law firm for us at that time, and Trustee Ryan and Trustee Dalzell and I had voted for it, and he had taken this from another ordinance, so he felt it was very legal at the time, and he knows municipal law.
Okay, I understand.
I don't know if it changed since then.
No, that case was in effect. I'm just, you can do whatever you want to. I'm just telling you that if you pass it and you do try to remove an appointed officer by a majority vote, it will not get upheld in court. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not telling you which ordinance to pass. You can pass whichever one you want to.
And just with the word temporary in here on section C. Is that for all? I'm just confused because it's like, is that for any appointment that the mayor makes, or is that just like a temporary appointment?
No, this is for the full-time appointments. So so A, B, C, D, F are Illinois Municipal Code, directly from it. E is the only subsection here that is different, which actually sets the term of the temporary officers to 30 days, and no person shall be appointed to fill an office as a temporary officer more than twice in a fiscal year.
So that's for any appointment?
For the full-time appointment, if there's a failure to appoint an officer.
So by ordinance, the mayor, upon completion of the previous mayor's term, has to reappoint his full-time, make appointments, his full-time appointments. He has to reappoint everyone. This ordinance, what it basically does, and which was the intent when it was passed in 2012, with the absence of advice and consent of the board, limits the amount of times that the mayor can, reappoint somebody on a temporary basis, and this cycle as well.
It sounds like it's trying to do the same thing, except the other one seemed cleaner and simpler and shorter.
I think respectfully, I think this version is much cleaner. But I agree with you.
It confuses me.
It is trying to do, that's why I tried to put it in a form that would be what was similar to what Trustee Pierce had proposed, but it's different. That would pass muster. Right.
Thank you.
Are you okay with it in its current form? I think it.
Well, one more question for the attorney. Does it change anything from the one that Trustee Pierce first presented? What's the main difference?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't change. Well, it changes. It takes out B, subsection B, that was proposed. Right. That's the most obvious one.
Right.
One of the big changes that I had, I noted, which was just I think it was just more of a typo. It wasn't the intent. It was if the nominee, for example, in the the third sentence, if the nominee again fails to receive the majority vote of the all elected trustees, that should read it should read Board of Trustees
frankly, because elected trustees means that Christine couldn't vote on that.
Right, Board of
So it
Trustees.
just clarifies certain things that I don't think was the intent, but should have been clarified.
Also, word all, not two-thirds.
Because the ordinance that was in effect completely left out selection of appointments, the one that's currently in place.
Leaves out selection?
Yeah, like this, the 2012 one was the one that was worded by Odelson's firm, I thought, very well, and then it was changed again, I think it was 2 years later, I'm not sure.
I think A says all appointed officers of the village shall be
That
appointed by
left it,
the...
it says selection and removal of officers, but there's nothing in the ordinance about selection, the current one that we
Subsection
have.
A. All
No,
appointed
not the
officers of the
current
village.
one that's in place.
No, subsection, all appointed officers of the village shall be appointed by the advice and, by the mayor with the advice and consent of the Board of Trustees.
That's the 2012 version here.
Yeah, and that's the same thing as that's in
Not, where are you reading that from?
2-59.
Is that in which
The
ordinance?
new ordinance.
Yeah, I was talking about...
Subsection A, the first
I'm
sentence.
talking about ordinance from 2013, the ones that we currently have.
Okay.
It says selection and appointment of officers, but there's nothing in here about selection. They crossed it all off. So that's why it needed to be cleaned up.
But in our written ordinances on, that we have right now in place, it's clearly states that all appointments end on the expiration of the mayor's term. So, in all clarity, all appointments, all full-time appointments ended when Mayor Ryan was sworn in, or when Mayor Kitching left. And every full-time appointment needs to be reappointed with the advice and consent of the village trustees.
And that's what this says?
Well, the law
It
is
doesn't. It's separate, two separate.
Well, yeah, but the law is that old appointees are holdover until another person is appointed and qualified. That's what it is. So if he...
No,
It's not
no,
supposed
that's
to
not what
be.
it says. It's not another, it's until, all full-time appointments need to be reappointed on expiration of the mayor's term. That's how the ordinance is written.
Okay, well, I don't see
The one we're
that.
proposing, or?
If there's
the
another
state?
ordinance that says that, then there is, but that's not how
The one that
law
you...
is.
So you're
No,
saying...
No, I don't have anything in here on that.
That's why I'm still confused. I'm sorry. It's just me, I guess.
I don't know what you want.
I want a clear ordinance, because we have none that are clear.
What would you
We
like
have
in
3 of them in front of us, actually. But is he saying?
What is it? I don't understand what you want. Do you want that all appointed officers upon, at the election, no longer work for the village anymore?
No, we never said that.
Okay, well,
No.
that's what I'm trying to clarify. I don't know what you're...
Just look at 2012. That's what I would like, because we had that, and it was perfect for the mayor and the Board of Trustees. It balanced the issue. That's why we put it in place before.
Upon a new election, wouldn't they have to be reappointed by the new mayor?
Yes.
They typically are, yes.
Yes.
Typically, or they have
Well,
to be?
we can't force the mayor to make an appointment.
But if there's not an appointment, there's not really a job being held.
There's a holdover.
But how long does the holdover last?
They're holdover until his successor is qualified, appointed and qualified. But I agree with you.
The successor might be the same person.
Well, it could be the same person.
Typically is.
A lot of times it is, but
Could be.
I've sat here for 10 years, and every time the mayor is reelected, no matter who it is, they make their appointments.
So the only person that's been
I
appointed
disagree.
is
They do. I've seen it.
Chief.
John and I got elected the first time. Ever since then, the appointments were almost never on a annual basis.
Because the ordinance is written on the expiration of the mayor's term. So if you come in an off year and the mayor still has 2 years left, it's not the expiration of the mayor's term. The mayor's term is for 4 years.
I'm saying is that in days of old, the annual appointments were done annually. And then that kind of fell away.
If you look back in all the village meeting minutes, you will see that the mayor, upon swearing in within the next couple of months, has made all of the appointments. I looked.
I beg to differ.
With, an appointment is an appointment, and I can tell you when we were first elected to office in 2011, all the appointments were done the week before we were seated, so we never even had a say in those. Those are called carryovers. That nothing changed. We didn't appoint anybody. We didn't approve an appointment, I should say, of anyone.
I would have challenged that.
I was there.
That's not how the ordinance is written or the Illinois code is written. I studied this.
I would say practice is when a mayor comes in, he does make his appointment.
Yep.
That is practice in government. That is absolutely true. Does it happen every time? No. Does he have to do it? No. That is typically
Should he
when
do
it's
it? It's another question.
done.
Well, if that's the right way of doing it, we should do it.
I tell you, even the reason all these appointments come as slowly as they have is there's evaluations that take place, too. You don't just take office and immediately start appointing
Right.
people
I
without
totally
evaluating
agree.
everybody.
It should be the most qualified candidate. And they should all, that's why they get evaluated with each year, or each term, excuse me. It's your privilege.
Okay,
And
with that being said, Mayor, have you been evaluating certain positions to be appointed?
All positions, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay.
And it wouldn't be fair to say to a potential employee, you're being evaluated, because obviously you want to see them how they work. You want to
Right, I'm
see their
just
regular day
asking.
structure and so forth yet, too. So, no, I'm certainly taking notes. I certainly have a report and so forth yet, too, so.
So Mayor, will you be making your appointments anytime soon?
I've been doing them as they come along, yes. You saw one this evening for a police and fire commissioner. That expired back in April. But again, I wanted to evaluate the individual before I made that appointment. And he was a carryover.
Carry what? Carry over.
Carryover.
Carryover?
I think we're just trying to clarify it so everyone knows what's supposed to happen, you know. Because these ordinances, most of our ordinances, and I think all of us can agree, a lot of them do need to be reevaluated. They're not clear. Some of them are very old. And when it was changed from 2012 to 2013, they left out part of the selection process. Just removal process was in there. So they need a lot of work. I'm just trying to make sure we do it right so that we can understand it. And anyone that reads it can understand it.
So finally, to clarify, as the attorney asked, what is not there that everybody's looking for? Because we've seen a 2012 draft, we've seen a 2013 draft. The 2012 was actually, as soon as a new administration came into place in 2013, as one of the first things they did was to amend the 2012 version, and with the last 2 weeks, the Ordinance and Legislation Committee drafted another version that needed to be authored or at least reviewed by our village attorney, which has been done. Village attorney has presented that. What is not there that you're looking for?
I had no problem with the 2012 ordinance. I don't know why it had to be changed. If he's saying the Section B, that's fine. You're more updated than I am. But I don't know why we changed certain terms like the word law instead of ordinance or
Because as the attorney mentioned, just told everybody, the difference being is the 2012 version, which I can say after looking at this a second time, does not match what state statute it is. And it says, any officer so appointed may be suspended or removed from office at any time by a majority vote of all corporate authorities at any regular meeting or at any special meeting called in accordance with law. All vacancies so made may be filled in the manner in this section provided. In other words, you're taking that authority away from the mayor, who does all the hiring and the dismissing,
Well, that could be
and giving it to the board.
reworded.
That's what makes it unconstitutional.
You voted for this.
Then I was
So
in
did I.
error. I'll stand
And
corrected.
I-
I was in error. 'Cause
Yeah, but that,
after reviewing this now, this is not right. And
Right,
that's
we should
probably
fix
why the
it.
last administration actually reworked this at the same time. That's probably why it was amended.
They took half of it out. They took
Trustee,
half of it out.
If you would like me to go back to the prior version and just remove B and then fix the elected official part of the subsection A, I can do that. That's not a problem. It's up to the board. I don't really care what you guys want to do. I just,
To make it clearer, but that's just me.
okay,
I'd appreciate it.
whatever you guys want. Do you have your version? You could propose it as well.
Or should we just table this till the next meeting?
Yeah, can we just move to table to next meeting?
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So in the meantime, I'll get your legal opinion on that section of our ordinances, because I'm not sure that you and I are on the same page, on the selection, approval and appointment of officers and definitions of terms like carryover and how they relate. Okay.
Yeah, no, excellent.
Thank you, Trustee Pierce.
So it's letter T that you're
Correct.
pulling. Trustee Pierce, that's all you had?
Yep. I'm sorry. Yes.
IT, Trustee Dozell?
The request for approval to execute a contract for one PRI, as primary rate ISDN circuit. Request for the approval to execute a contract for 2 point-to-point T1 circuits, and the request for approval to execute a contract, and if we can please amend that from 32 POTS lines to 24. Also, that's in item Y, the 32 to 24, please. Those lines handle the fax machines, emergency phones, and our elevator phones. If there's any questions on it, Deputy Chief Ricker did all the legwork on it, and I would defer to him. That's all I have.
Boat launch, Trustee Juarez?
Mayor, you were giving me information about what was going on this weekend.
I just got there right before the meeting started. This weekend, they had the Bassmasters fishing tournament down at the boat launch, and we took in approximately 40 boats and collected close to $400 this weekend from the Bassmasters. So it was a good tournament weekend and so forth.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Human Resources, Trustee McGrill.
The HR manager was just recently notified that Mr. Randall House has left the Illinois Public Risk Fund. He was our loss control consultant that would come out. How often did he come out, Kathy? At least monthly, and was helpful. And so a new loss control consultant has been named, and HR will be forwarding his contact information this week when she has it. That's all that I have.
Health and Pollution, Trustee Pierce.
No report, Mayor.
At this time, would anyone like to remove any items from the consent agenda?
I would like to remove item U.
And item T, please.
Trustee, item U, and was there a second one?
T. Item T.
T? Anybody else? I need a motion then to establish a consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Come on.
Yep. Motion to establish the consent agenda, filling in the missing information. Letter A should read $433,200 $202.54. Item B should read $410,803.77. Item C should read $408,234.67. Fill in the ordinance numbers.
Pardon me?
Fill in the ordinance numbers for the ones that we're passing. Okay. Item S will be known as ordinance number 2017-7-1. Letter T has been removed from the consent agenda. Item U has been removed from the consent agenda. Item V will become ordinance number 2017-7-2. Trustee Dalzell asked for clarification on item number Y to read the approval to execute a contract for 24 POTS lines. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you.
And I'm sorry, I did miss that Mayor Ryan asked for item R to insert the verbiage South Pulaski after Studio K Salon at 1168 A and B South Pulaski for a TIF small business project. Roll call number 1 to establish the consent agenda as presented. Trustee McGreal.
Yes.
Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Pierce.
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We'll go back to the items that were pulled. First one was letter T. Approval for an ordinance amending Section 2-59, selection and removal of appointed officers, Division 2 of the Mayor of the Chapter 2 Administration of the Municipal Code for the Village of Alsip. That was pulled by Trustee Juarez.
Motion to table.
Second.
Yeah, motion and second to table. Until when?
Next meeting.
Next board meeting,
7:24.
7/24.
Roll call number 2 to table item number T. Trustee McGreal.
Yes.
Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Pierce.
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next was letter U. Approval of an ordinance establishing the salary for the Chief of Police for the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois. Trustee McLaurin.
I asked for that to be pulled because the number that's being thrown around tonight is not the number that is in the ordinance as it's presented to the board.
Yes, and I checked with the attorney beforehand, Chris, because it wasn't, we went into closed session to talk about this, so, and then we came out of closed session and we were told, although there was an action item on there and we said the week before we would vote on it, we were told we couldn't, so it was put on tonight, but we got on to other topics and we never got to finish talking about the final number.
Well, I said
So
the number that's on the ordinance as it's written is the number we talked about at the last meeting.
We talked about where did that number come from, how did we arrive at it, none of us knew. And then we got that information, and since then, the consensus was to increase it. And if anyone has a problem with that, we can vote on this individually. But we can't amend it. We can't amend it.
I mean, the discussions that we had were involving this figure, and, I mean, that's what's in the ordinance, that's what's presented. I mean, to throw out another number tonight that's not in the board packet, I just have an issue with that.
Then we can discuss and vote on it separately. I don't think we should have the chief wait any longer.
No, I have no problems with that. Again, my issue is with the fact of the number changing, that the first I'm hearing about it is tonight at the meeting. So
I did leave a message for you, because I called people individually to get a consensus, because we didn't finish that, because we had other topics we were talking about in closed session.
Well, I present at the executive session, it was questioned to me where I came up with my analogy
And you explained it to us.
I explained it to you, but where did you come up with your analogy?
I listened to what you said, and then I talked to the other board members individually to get their consensus. Other people in that room said it should be higher. You were there, too.
I think,
We can still debate it if you like, but I think we should come to a decision for him.
I would agree with that, but, this is still a committee decision, not an individual decision.
I didn't make an individual decision. In fact, that wasn't what the number I came up with, and this was a collective one, if you want to poll each trustee.
Because we're putting a number out there without any board discussion.
We had board discussion in closed session that was sidelined by other discussions in closed session. And then we were told we couldn't talk or vote on it when we came out.
Right, because it was a committee meeting, not a board meeting.
It was a committee meeting that had an action item on there. It was posted correctly. If someone else would like to make another suggestion.
I just have a question.
Yes.
So as long as the chief is waiting, will it be back, will he be paid backdated?
Yes, he will be.
Okay.
Unless we can go into closed session and discuss it now. Attorney? I mean, can we call a closed session if people want to go discuss it now? I don't think it should wait.
On the agenda.
Or you just make a motion and see where the vote goes. I don't know what else to.
It probably shouldn't be discussed out.
Well, no, you have to.
I mean, if you want to go discuss it, I don't have a problem with it.
Can we just pull individual votes? Can we do that?
Well, you can either vote yes or no to what's being presented now.
There should be a motion, a second, and then a vote.
I'll make the motion.
At the 116, Trustee
At
Pierce?
116.
I'll second.
Roll call number 3 to amend the ordinance. Item U to be approval for an ordinance establishing the salary for the chief of police of the village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois, annual salary of $116,000. Trustee McGrill.
Do we have to put the ordinance number with it, or no?
Do we approve
You have to
the dollar
approve it
amount
first.
first?
Okay. Yes.
Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Pierce?
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
No.
Ordinance number.
Ordinance number, please, on that.
Okay. Item U will now be known as ordinance number 2017-7-3. Roll call to approve the ordinance as presented. Do I need a motion in a second?
No, we already
there was
did
a
it.
vote
We already
on it,
did that.
You,
yeah.
you did it.
Okay.
You changed it on its face, so it was
Okay.
fine. The change was made before there was a motion, so you don't need a second.
Okay. Trustee McGreal?
No,
You're good.
no, we're
No,
saying
good.
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that's fine. So lastly, then, we have any unfinished business? Any new business?
Mayor, I would just like to thank the police chief and the fire chief and the other members of the community here that went to the memorial service for Sharon McDowell, our deputy clerk who recently passed away. I just want to thank you. It was very nice of you to show up there.
Get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's it, folks. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Yeah. Do the roll call, and then we discuss.
I know you guys have been. I missed that.